All right, let's get this show on the road. Testing out a new mic here, hoping everything works. I was trying to clip this onto my top, but it wasn't having it, so I've just given up and I've gone for the handheld mic, one of the things that I've got. So I just crack on into it. I haven't done a football video for a little bit. Just kind of felt like it was time to do one. A lot's kind of happened. The Club World Cup's just finished. Some transfer stuff's really starting to pick up. So yeah, let's fire into things here. I think we have to start with the Club World Cup. I'd be really intrigued to see what the viewing numbers for that would be. I feel as if a lot of people were saying they weren't gonna watch it at all. I'll be completely honest. I seen the Bayern Munich game at the very beginning, which ended up 10-0. I maybe tuned into the odd little 10 minutes here or there when I was looking at stuff, but I didn't watch a full game really until last night, and even then I did turn it off before the end, just a few minutes before, as the game was kind of over. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many people actually tuned into it and watched it, certainly in the semi-finals and the finals. But obviously Chelsea go on and win it. They're the first club to have won kind of like every trophy in terms of the European trophies. I mean, Chelsea are just a bit of a weird club in that sense, aren't they? Like, I don't know. They obviously always had those battles with Liverpool in the kind of 2000s when Mourinho was there, certainly in the Champions League side of things. But yeah, they're just a weird club. Like, I'm not surprised that Chelsea are the first club to have got that, if that makes sense. In terms of the game, very surprising. I thought the game plan was spot on from Chelsea. Their press was absolutely bang on to get at PSG, which we seen led to a couple of mistakes for the goal. Just their whole game plan. The first two goals are just pinged in behind the left back, Nuno Mendes. They knew he was going to get high. They knew he was going to attack, and they gambled by playing it long in behind there for the first two goals. And Cole Palmer takes them extremely, extremely well, and by an absolute Mayo player of the match, and I think he even gets player of the tournament. Like I said, I didn't watch really any more games than that, but yeah, he had a great game, and I've definitely made some comments about Palmer and that I'm not too sure. Sometimes he goes off the boil, and does he kind of just get his goals against kind of quote unquote weaker teams, but you can absolutely take nothing away from the lad last night. I mean, that was absolutely a sensational performance against who I've said are kind of going to be the future of football with how teams are going to look to play. So credit where credit's due. Took the bull by the horns, took the game, and he went and he made it his, and absolutely full on credit to him. I thought Cucurella was really good last night. He's really suited Maresca, actually. Like, Cucurella's been interesting coming all the way from Brighton, and he looked a bit chaotic as a left back and a bit clumsy, and just not a very good signing. What did they get him for? 50 million. They love a signing from Brighton, don't they? But he looked really, really good. Speaking of people they got from Brighton, João Pedro has come in, and I think he's claimed that starting spot for Chelsea. I've watched the highlights on YouTube from the other games where he comes on, he gets the two goals in that game, he scores last night. He looks very, very composed. There's lots of talks about him, just the fee it is, and I even was a bit like, it's just kind of a bit Chelsea-ish, like a bit rash, and we'll see how he does. But yeah, I don't know, watching the highlights and watching that game last night, I think he might click into that Chelsea team quite well. I mean, I think he starts ahead of Nicholas Jackson, no problem. Sounds like he maybe has been told he can find somewhere else. They've obviously got Delap, so they've got a couple of different options there down that middle piece, and to have someone that's really going to be a prolific goal scorer will massively help him. And yeah, he just looks like he's going to click very well in there. Palmer will like him because he wants to get him behind, and Palmer can try and find him. They can probably play some 1-2s off each other, and yeah, looks really confident. Pedro, again, I didn't don't religiously watch him week in week out, see him on Match of the Day, see him when Brighton play games when I can, and I've always liked him. Thought he was a good player, but he looks like he's got a bit about him, a bit of confidence to him, a bit of swag to him. And he looks like he's going to fit in there, as I've just been saying. So let's see how that one plays out for Chelsea. I've seen, obviously, a lot of talks about Chelsea, are they going to be, in for the title and everything like that. Who knows, obviously. I don't see their defence being quite good enough to be able to challenge for a title over the course of a whole season. Maybe some run in the Champions League or something like that. You never know. But in terms of a league title, I'm not too sure. We did say, me and the boys at the start of the season, we did a podcast probably around about just approaching Christmas time when Chelsea were in the mix, and we liked what Maresca was doing. I didn't like when he talked down the fact about where they were. I think if you're in a moment, you go ahead and you kind of go for it and you take it. And they did wobble a little bit, but they seemed to pick themselves back up, and they got Champions League football, which is absolutely massive for them, and a huge step forward. But from a coaching point of view, yeah, he got that spot on last night, and really interesting to see. Really, really interesting to see. They look solid, Chelsea. It seems like it's been a bit rash in one game in a tournament like the Club World Cup, and we don't know how how serious to kind of take it as it being the first one in the summer. As time goes by and they go on and we get through it, we'll know how serious these clubs are taking it and what it really does mean with results. But you can't take away from them. They're beating the European champions, and they absolutely did it very, very comfortably. But like I say, I think the defence might struggle a little bit. Don't like the keeper, even though I thought he actually had a very, very good game last night. Thought he came and gathered a lot of crosses when PSG were trying to put it into the box. He made some good saves. But over a course of a season, I think he makes too many mistakes for you, Sanchez. Again, there's always place for improvement. Maybe just the energy of the squad, the vibe of the whole thing, where they're going. Maybe he's going to step up to the plate, but I think that'll be their weak link, and I think it'll just be a bit chaotic again, and they'll be looking just to make sure they can finish in the Champions League spots, personally, for me, with Chelsea. But fair play to them. They are Club World Cup champions. I'm assuming they'll probably go and have some form of break at the moment, and then come back to it. The season's starting very soon. It's 4 weeks on Friday, the first game in the Premier League, so it's right around the corner. I don't know. Oh, just dropped my notebook. I don't know how I felt about the whole kind of halftime show and everything like that. FIFA going very, very American with it, right? With the performances. Donald Trump's on stage when they're lifting the trophy. Palmer's looking around like, what the fuck is he doing here? Reece James turns to kind of tell him to get off. Trump has to get pushed off. Like, I mean, that's Trump to a T, but yeah, just very, very Americanized. And I've got a podcast that will be coming out on the subscription service on Monday next week first. It will then drop publicly a little bit later on. But we talked a lot about, the state of Scottish football and everything. But I did mention that I think football is in a dangerous place in terms of the purists and the working class who it's for, of FIFA and everyone, just that whole Super League thing that happened. And I just think that what FIFA are looking to do with the Club World Cup and how they want to try and turn football into even more of a money-making business, I just thought that is where it was looking like it was heading last night, and I don't like it. I don't know what we can do to stop it. I think it will take time for it to eventually get there. Maybe it technically already is there. People will say certainly in the Premier League it's tourists all the time at games and everything like that. I mean, I don't know, but I just, the whole halftime show and everything like that. I mean, I didn't pay any attention to it. Fair play to people that like that. Everyone doesn't have to like the same thing, but that's not football for me. I think I seen Jeremy Clarkson tweet, hey, by the way, America, football's for going to grab a pie and a beer at halftime. That's kind of what it's for, and things do change and different things happen. But yeah, just I wasn't too much of a fan of it. But again, nothing to expect. We'll see a lot of that at the World Cup next year, but the World Cup's kind of always a spectacle, and you kind of, you accept there's the opening ceremony, maybe something, but not down for that Super Bowl-y kind of halftime performance stuff in footy matches at all. So we'll see where that leads in terms of the future of everything like that. Just moving on, I watched the Liverpool pre-season game yesterday against Preston. It was an interesting one. I've not said anything about the Jota incident at all in terms of like speaking about it online. I didn't feel comfortable about it. It actually hit me extremely, extremely hard on the day that it happened, just with me going through everything that I've been through with my dad passing just at the end of April. Very, very, very raw. And I know what his family are about to go through and the journey they're going to have to go on with grief. And it's... I mean, we all have to go through it. We all lose people at some point in life, but when it's something that's unexpected, and he has a young family and everything, it was just it was really hard. Like I haven't watched any of the funeral stuff or tuned into any podcasts about it personally. I didn't want to. It was a bit too raw. It was a bit too soon for me. But I watched the game yesterday. Great tributes at the beginning. Incredible at the end. The players stayed for about 7 minutes. Everyone was just chanting a song and the players are clapping. You could see they're emotionally struggling, and I mean, that's just one step further forward for Liverpool and the fans and the players to just start to just try and go through this process together of what is grief. For a friend, a player that we all wanted to see, a family man, as I've said, and I don't think it's really sunk in with me yet. I was saying that to my brother yesterday, watching out in the garden. I it's not hit me yet. I still expect to see Diego Jota on the pitch for Liverpool next season, and just heartbreaking, emotional, and that's kind of why I've not said anything on it. But great tribute. Let's get into the football, because I was excited watching that yesterday. I'm like, you're starting to look at, for your own team, how are they setting up? Who's he starting? Who's he playing? It's the first one, I think we'll see more in the preseason tour when they go off to it at the weekend. But yeah, it kind of got my fix back. I messaged Greg and Ali and said, all right, here we go. Footy feels like it's kind of coming back now. You can watch the preseason games and get an idea of what teams are going to look to start to try and do, and who's looking fit, and where the new signings are going to fit in, and all those things, right? So I think yesterday Liverpool, aside from all the emotional stuff with Jota, I think the most standout player for me watching the game was Kerkez in the second half he played. How quick he was, how aggressive he is. I mean, he just really reminded me of a young Andy Robertson when we signed him. Just bundles of energy, absolute bundles of energy, and it's a hell of a signing from Liverpool, and that's gonna just add a lot of legs to that side. A lot of youth, energy, rawness as well. In there, he was tucking in a little bit. He's going to look to do that job as well, which all the fullbacks are trying to do. And yeah, just looked really, really strong. I think that might be, let's see how Wirtz does. Wirtz wasn't involved yesterday, but Wirtz is obviously the big name signing all the money for Liverpool, but I think Kerkez is going to be a hell of a signing for them. Frimpong played a little bit. I don't remember anything really happening. I feel like a lot of the game went down the left-hand side for Liverpool, certainly in the second half, between Nunes and Gakpo. Kerkez and Gakpo. Nunes did score. Really nice celebration. Looks like a different man with that shaved head and everything. It'll be interesting to see if he now ends up at Liverpool with everything that's happened with Jota. The plans will probably change for that striker market now. So, yeah, all in all, just good to see football back. Really good to see it back. Good to see, obviously, watching your own team play, watching Liverpool play, watching it with my brother. Sunny day in the garden. It was class. And yeah, going to keep an eye on all the preseason games and keep these videos coming with regards to preseason games, not just Liverpool stuff, but any of the games I managed to catch, and just my thoughts and everything like that on it. So yeah, it was good. It was good. We're almost there. We're almost there, folks. The season's almost back. Just kind of going into the transfers and maybe starting with Liverpool and sticking with the 9, just literally before I decided to come and record this video. There's kind of strong links of Mateta to Liverpool, which, thought Mateta's looked quite decent for Palace in the last season or two, but not a signing I think Liverpool would make. He's 28 years of age, so it just doesn't seem like a signing we would want to make. The relatively early rumours of about 45 million for him. I just don't know. It's a bizarre one. I don't know if there's what truth there is to that, if there is any truth, and if Liverpool would really go do that, and if they are, is he going to be like a backup? And then again, what do you do with Nunes? Because Slot does not fancy Nunes at all, or certainly didn't seem to at the end of the season last season. So I don't know about the rumours on that one. I'm not too sure. Like I say, it is just a rumour at the moment at the time of recording. So 28 years old. I don't know. I'm not. It just feels a bit out of character. It doesn't feel a bit right, but Liverpool will know what they're doing, and if they feel like that's where they want to go, then I'm going to put faith in. I'm going to trust the transfer team that have done so well so far this season with the likes of Frimpong, Kerkez, and Wirtz. So we'll see. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Mateta going to Liverpool. I think that is a bit of an interesting one. One I did miss just before the weekend hit. I didn't even know about it. Was Elanga to Newcastle, 55 million. Great signing for Newcastle. I think it adds a little bit more quality onto the other side that they've got. I know Jacob Murphy had a hell of a season last season, but I think Elanga just adds a bit more quality. That's an area that Newcastle would really look to improve on. I did see a thing on Twitter, that Sky tweeted just to how Elanga kind of compares to the rest of the wingers, based on what they all did last season. So himself, Elanga plays 38 games. He gets 6 goals and gets 11 assists last year. He creates 50 chances. He gets 14 fast breaks. Don't know what that stat means. I guess that means he just gets the ball on a fast break 14 times. Compared to Gordon, plays 34 games, also gets 6 goals, gets 5 assists. Then you've got Jacob Murphy, who played 35 games, got 8 goals and 12 assists, so very good season for him. Harvey Barnes played 33 games, got 9 goals and 4 assists. But I think if you just think of the players and if you think of how Elanga looked last season, the lightning pace and that Forest team, that feels like a solid move from Newcastle. I do like that, and I do think it's an improvement on both Murphy and Harvey Barnes. Even though Murphy has the better season than last season, but I would bank on Elanga maybe being a better player more consistently over the course of the next couple of seasons. There's also top of them in for that Hugo Ekitike from Frankfurt, but he's going to cost a lot of big money. He is a striker. What does that mean for Isak? I know Callum Wilson's just left, but if you're going to drop close to 100 million on Ekitike, is he going to be a backup? I don't see that. So does that mean something's happening with Isak? potentially. Who knows? But we'll have to let time kind of go on and see what happens with that over the course of the next few weeks if they do indeed go and get him. So yeah, all in all, really interesting. Just kind of sticking with Forest losing Elanga. I know Spurs went and got Gibbs White, and then there's been the whole kind of stuff going on with, Forest are going to sue them in that, and like, yeah, just football's in this, like, as I said, even with the Americanization of it, but just with this kind of stuff, like, football's just in this weird place at the moment where other things are taking a hold that, I know there's always been problems with it. You've got people like Rangers and stuff like that, financial, and teams always go bust and things, but just all these teams now like suing and approaching not in the right way. And I don't know, Forrest seemed a bit moany, the owner last season. I don't think a lot of people liked him towards the end of the season, just for how he was. And I just don't like that stuff being the headlines, and it's not something I want to talk about in the videos, and it won't be stuff that I talk about. I want to talk about the football, and things obviously come into that factor, and when I feel like they're relevant, I will add them in. But I just really want to talk about the football. I'm not too bothered about that. So see what happens with Gibbs White there. I mean, that would be a good signing for Spurs. That's an improvement on their midfielders and their attacking midfielders to see who they can get in. So we shall see what happens with it. I think just last two teams to wrap up. I mean, Arsenal look like they're getting Gyökeres for what, 62 plus million. Obviously, I did the video on Gyökeres against Sesko. Just seeing how they're going to go for it. Arsenal, the team that have taken a punt on him. Let's see. He's going to have to be bagging. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him, a lot of pressure on Arteta to make sure it works. I've seen some videos about like, oh, he's a transitional striker and all that stuff. And look, absolutely no offense to anybody that does those type of videos and these people that speak on this stuff. I'm looking at these people and thinking I can try and do the same thing. And I'm not saying my opinion's wrong and my opinion's right and they're all wrong, but I'm like, how much have you really watched of the player? Like, how much have you watched of him week in, week out? Like, watching YouTube highlights and just deciding that's who he is, or even looking at stats all the time doesn't necessarily mean that you know what that player is going to fit in and how he's going to work in this team. I am, in this whole subscription service and the whole idea of this in the football sense of things is, let the season build. Let's give it time. Let's see what things happen. Things start to change. We know how quickly football changes and how quickly we are to say this guy's rubbish or this guy's amazing and then the next week he's not. And, it's such a flip-floppy world. So let's see how Gyökeres does. He's going to have to hit the ground running. It's what Arsenal needed. It's what everyone keeps saying. And all eyes are going to be on him. And yeah, it's go big or go home for him. And it's go big or go home for Arteta. We all know that. On the flip side, looks like I don't think it's fully officially complete yet, but looks like Madueke is going to them for 55 million from Chelsea. I don't get that one. I don't get it at all. Obviously, Saka's the boy off the right-hand side. Gyökeres is probably going to play down the middle with Havertz as a backup. Martinelli off the left, Trossard off the left. I don't get that one. I really don't. Like, is he maybe an upgrade on Trossard? Potentially. Is he an upgrade on Martinelli? I'm not too sure. I mean, if I had a little look at his stats just quickly, plays 32 games last season for Chelsea, gets 7 goals and 4 assists in the league. He gets 3 goals and 1 assist in the Conference League. He gets a total of 11 goals and 5 assists last season. So it's not like absolute shocking numbers, but again, just the eye test when I watched him, yeah, there's a lot of good things there. He's only 23 years old, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's only 23 years old. So yeah, there's potential, and let's give him time, but I don't get it. Feels a little needless. It feels a little needless, unless they're looking to sell Martinelli or Trossard and they get some money back in and they need a body, or not a body, but they just need someone else in there. Okay, maybe I do kind of get it, but just seems a little bit random. And why would Chelsea want a player if they thought he was going to be decent to go to a rival team like Arsenal, even though they both seem to do that with each other and sell players to one another? So I don't get it. Let me know your guys' thoughts on that as well, if you watch this. But it's an interesting one from Arsenal. I think we'll finish off with Man United because, well, look, Man United are just the big talking point. They were the team that has been the biggest team growing up for me. And, I know what it's like to be in a position of that they're in now, because for most of my life with Liverpool, we were there. We were finishing 7th in the odd Champions League run and cups and all those types of things, and the odd season coming second and thinking you're gonna improve and you don't. There's a lot to do going out, right? And that's where they're at right now. It's trying to get Rashford out. It's trying to get Sancho out. It's trying to get Antony out. And as we know, it's going to be so hard to do with the wages that they're on. And I think these guys aren't really going to give a shit. The whole World Cup year might play a part in that, with them, maybe wanting to take a cut on wages to make sure they can play. But then again, you never know, they might not. And I'd Garnacho into that mix as well. There's just a lot of big players that United need to get out that will cost a bit of money for big wages, but everyone knows that you want to sell them. So how the fuck do you get them out? And they started off well with Cunha. I like the signing. I do like the signing of Cunha. Mbeumo seems to be taking a while. I don't really get that as to why. Maybe they do have to sell before they can buy. Fair enough, okay. But like I say, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be easy to shift those guys. And who's gonna want to buy them all? So if I'm a United fan, I'm a little worried. Again, 4 weeks before the season starts, loads of time for things to change. The window's still open. I'm pretty sure when the season's on. I'm not too sure if the dates have changed, but it usually is. So that you never know. But as of right now, we've got Cunha in, and that's it. And there's not a lot more changing at United. And if they don't do and get these guys out and get a couple more in, there's not going to be a lot of difference to last season. Do I think they finish as low? Absolutely not. But there won't be a massively big difference between them last season and this season if they don't move people out. So huge summer for them so far. We'll see what happens with it. I think that's about everything. I just wanted to do a quick catch-up video. These will start to be coming thick and fast with you with the subscription service that drops on Friday, July 18th. There'll be videos up on that with how you guys can go and subscribe and everything. So keep your eyes out for that. The weather has been shit today in Scotland after an absolutely blistering 4 or 5 days of 25 plus degrees. An incredible weekend, and then we're back to piss and rain, which is typical for Scotland. So I think I've covered everything I want to cover. It was just a quick one to catch up on everything, give a few thoughts and opinions on things that are going on, test out this new mic that we've got going. Hopefully it works all good. And yeah, that is it. Until the next one, I'll catch you then. Peace.